I need to say something about buying a house because I'm sure that you've heard every opinion which way from sideways about it. Wait, don't wait. The housing market is crashing. No, it's not. You should rent forever. Buying is too expensive. Buying is the best investment you'll ever make. Don't buy these types of homes. Don't be house poor. Yada, yada, yada. And with the wealth of information out there and the nature of the internet, who are you supposed to listen to? Look, I'm not going to tell you what to do because let's be honest, you either own a home or dream of owning something of your own, whether you say it out loud or just hold that quiet longing in your heart, or you don't. So I'm just going to tell you what happened to me. Back in 2018, I bought a mid-century modern major fixer. And about a year and a half later, I lost my job. And looking back at it now, almost 8 years later, I would absolutely do it all over again in a heartbeat. And before you roll your eyes and think, of course she would say that, she's a realtor, I wasn't back when we bought the house. I was just a tired mom with a demanding service job at a car dealership who seized an opportunity to utilize a VA home loan. If you're new here, hi, my name is Chris Rainwaters. I'm your favorite real estate witch and a licensed realtor here in Southern California since 2020. I became one after living this story. I don't make content to tell you what to do. I make it to give you perspective that you don't usually see in real estate. The messy, working class, mid-century fixer, still figuring it out version. If you want more grounded, honest conversations about homeownership, I've got free educational resources linked in the description below. And if you're local to Southern California and want to talk through your situation one-on-one, you can schedule a consult with me in the description. Now, let's get into it. All right, should I say once upon a time? Oh, I'll go Sophia Petrillo. All right, here we go. Picture it. Oceanside, California, 2018. My husband and I are renting a condo. Killian, our son, is 3, and our oldest boy, my stepson, has graduated high school and has moved out. I'm working long hours at the car dealership. We're doing pretty okay, but we're not rolling in dough. We're not sitting on some massive down payment. We're just at the point in life where it feels like if we don't jump now, we might never jump. And we weren't even looking in Vista at first. Vista, I mean, ew, that was the place that we used to judge. Like in high school, when I lived in Ramona, we would talk trash about Vista. And even as I got older, it was like just the place you went to get your weed, the place that you partied downtown once and then left. The rest was like country bumpkin. There was a Sinopolis and fun downtown and then like dirt roads and no streetlights. That was like my entire data set. But after losing out on a few houses in Oceanside, and thank God, because some of those in hindsight would have been actual disasters, I could talk about that later, we expanded the search. And Vista kept popping up. Bigger lots, quirkier houses, not cookie cutter, which appealed to us, and more space for the money. And then we walked into this one. And when I say fixer, I mean fixer. Built in 1960. She's 66 years old now. Everything was old, but it looked clean. Although that detail mattered later because it was lipstick on a pig clean, if you know what I mean. Because the bathrooms, painted. Like the tile was painted. The bathtub was painted. Underneath, when it started peeling, because we didn't realize it was painted, avocado green, nasty ass 1960s not salvageable glory. The roof was original and it was like this really expensive foam stuff which we could not afford to replace properly, so we torched down, roofed it, which is fine, but there's no insulation. It's just wood and then torched down, and it's on a raised foundation with no insulation underneath and hardwood floors. So we basically live in a very aesthetic wooden tent. The electrical was all original. It was either out of code or like straight up illegal. We had to redo that right away, replace the box, the whole thing. The pipes are still to this day the original cast iron. That is a future problem. The yard, 1/4 of an acre, which sounds romantic until you realize that you have one green waste bin and no budget for a gardener. But the location is fantastic. It was tucked away in the corner at the end of a private road, but it was still pretty close to downtown and the freeway. It had skylights, and so natural light just poured in. And the ceiling looks cool. There was a pool. Because it was off a private road, Killian could run and bike on our street without traffic. We could put one of those gates on the driveway, which we did, so it's fully fenced, and then let the dogs or the chickens just roam freely. P.S. I don't recommend letting chickens roam. They are destructive little effers. We don't have grass anymore. There was no HOA, and there was space. Real space. Space that could be ours. Most of the issues I mentioned, we didn't even know about when we first toured the house, but we did notice some other things, like the floors were a little uneven in places. There was like a tile thing in the corner for one of those pot-bellied stoves, but no stove there, and it took up like 1/5 of the living room, so that needed to be taken out. The kitchen was totally outdated with laminate countertops and a really ugly mid-90s tile scheme. And I'm sure a thing or two else that I can't recall. The list is long. So we offered under asking, assuming they'd reject our offer. VAs have some weird stigma around them, like bad juju, which is stupid because if they let us buy this house, then that's all crazy talk. Plus, I've dealt with plenty of VA lending now too in my career, and they're great to work with, but I digress. Anyway, so we figured that they'd choose someone else's offer or just decline ours like everyone else had, but they didn't. So I mentioned that we used a VA loan, and if you're not familiar, that means it was 100% finance. We didn't put down a down payment. We barely qualified, and we jumped. And now, before you think we were completely delusional, let me ground it in even more. So, of course we did a full home inspection. Oh, did we do an inspection? And that inspection report, it was thick. And I don't mean thick with 2 C's. I'm talking Bart Simpson's permanent record thick here. Original 1960, like there's toxic gas in this. And if the seal inside breaks while it's in use, you all die in your sleep. That we never used. Furnace. A part of the subfloor was rotted out. Like there's a cinder blocks like holding the thing up, and we have to put a thing so we don't walk there. There was previous rodent issues. And I mentioned the original cast iron plumbing and electrical that absolutely had to be redone, and the obvious problematic and leaking roof. There's stains all over the ceiling, but we probably have to replace the ceiling to fix that. And I mean, it's just wood. And I'm sure there were about 12 other things in there that I've blocked out for my own emotional safety. And did we renegotiate? Of course we did. Our realtor got us a decent sized discount, so an even better deal than what we were originally in contract for. Was it enough? In hindsight, and the more things that we have found wrong with this house, I'd confidently say definitely not. But ask anyone who's lived in an older home long enough, and there's always something that you wish that you would have pushed harder on. Look, we had already lost out on a few houses. We were tired and getting jaded. We were scared that if we backed out, we'd be right back in bidding war purgatory and miss our window. And this house, it had enough yes in it that we ignored the no. So we went through with it. I mean, obviously, we're here. We ripped out the fireplace thingy, refinished the floors ourselves, and moved on in. And for about 1.5 years, we thought we were fine. We had the new roof put on. We got the electrical all redone. We did the driveway gate. We were doing the thing. And then I lost my job. And when I say I lost my job, I don't mean like I was responsible and had a backup plan. I don't mean I had 6 months of savings and a vision board and a side hustle, right? Like, I mean, I walked out of that building and sat in my car and just stared at the steering wheel. Whew, getting emotional. Hold on. Like Crash from the Aquabats. Getting emotional. Oh, sorry. It's one of my son's favorite bands. Whew. Because suddenly the number that made this house in my life make sense and feel comfortable, it was gone. It was October of 2019. My health had taken a serious turn, and the life and identity I had built crumpled all at once. I talk about it more in my story From Darkness to Light, so I won't get into that too much, no detail here, but I'll link it below and you can watch that later if you're curious to know more. But it's funny because when you buy a house, everyone talks about the mortgage, but nobody talks about the silence and the panic that hits your body when the income disappears. So we had done the roof, we had redone the electrical, we were feeling responsible, like real adults. And then life was like, oh, you thought? And like the house didn't magically get better because I lost my job. No fairy godmother came out and waved her bippity boppity magic wand, and the pipes didn't replace themselves, and the subfloor didn't fix itself, and the yard didn't stop growing, and the pool didn't suddenly become low maintenance, and the mortgage was still due. So my amygdala, the brain's fear center, which may be why I get emotional like this, I don't really know, but at that time, it was 95% eroded away, and I was suffering from frequent blackout panic attacks, which I have cured. At that time, though, I had no job, and oh, did I spiral. Not all at once, however, it was a slow descent. I didn't even realize how depressed I had gotten until much later, because when you're in survival mode, you're not labeling your emotions. You're not giving every day your all and carping the diem, right? You're just surviving. There were days when I looked around at the chipped laminate counters and the peeling paint and the uneven floors, the dirt yard full of weeds where the grass used to be. And side note, again, do not let your chickens free range if you have grass and you would like to keep it. And I thought, what did we do? But here's the twist that nobody tells you about being house poor. You still get to close the gate at night. You still get to lock the door. You still get to decide what color the walls are, even if some of them or all of them do have to stay ugly for a while. You still get to fall apart without being evicted. And that mattered more than I understood at the time. And the wild thing is, nothing exploded. There wasn't some dramatic foreclosure scare, although admittedly, things have gotten dicey at times. My husband was laid off twice in the last couple of years, and I'm building my own real estate brokerage and businesses from scratch. But there wasn't a knock at the door. There was just time. Bills still coming, weeds still growing, chickens still screaming at 6 a.m. like they own the place, life continuing. And somewhere in that really unglamorous stretch of time, I've come to realize something. If we had been renting, I don't know that we would have survived that season the same way. Because when you're depressed, when you're trying to rebuild, when your confidence takes a hit and you're shaken to your core, the last thing that you need is a landlord deciding your life on a 12-month lease. Look, this house was and still is really ugly. It's very imperfect. It has been and continues to be expensive in ways that I did not anticipate, but it's ours. And when I needed it the most, it meant that I could fall apart in it. I'm just so grateful. And slowly put myself back together. Our mortgage hasn't changed since 2018. The rent in our area, way different story. I couldn't rent this house for what I pay now. Not even close. And over time, even with the ugly counters, the cast iron pipes, the dirt stinging nettle yard, the Mad Max looking chicken coop, oh, we're leaning into that aesthetic with some upgrades that we're working on in there. It'll be fun. The value quietly crossed that line, the line where debt didn't feel scary anymore. The line where if something truly catastrophic happened, we have options. But it's not just the house, it's Vista, it's the street, it's my freaking awesome neighbors and my really cool friends. It's watching my kid grow up in the same place year after year. I didn't have that. It's choosing to root somewhere I used to judge and finding out it fits me better than I expected. Community doesn't show up on a Zestimate, but it matters. If you've watched my North County videos, you know I care deeply about that part. Not just what a house costs, but what a place feels like. And now I understand something I didn't fully get or realize when I was younger. You are always going to have some sort of a housing cost if you live in the United States. The question is, what kind of life do you want that cost to build? Thank you for being here and listening to my whole story. I know it wasn't the glossy version of homeownership that you expect to hear from someone like me, but it's real. And if this perspective helped you think a little deeper about what kind of life you want your housing costs to build, I'm really glad that I could do that for you. If you want more grounded, honest conversations about buying, selling, or just figuring it out, like and subscribe. I've also put together a few free educational guides that I'll link in the description below. They're there to help you make informed decisions, not pressured ones. And if you're curious about North County specifically, Vista, Oceanside, Fallbrook, all of it, I've got a whole playlist breaking down what it's actually like to live here. Not the polished brochure version. The real one, it's right here. Or maybe it's here. Why is this so confusing for me? My brain just does not compute. If you're local to Southern California or plan to be and want to talk through your specific situation one-on-one, schedule a consult with me through the link below. And we all lived happily ever after. The end. Oh, wait, I didn't do Once Upon a Time, did I? Oh, well. I'll see you in the next one, but hopefully sooner. Isn't this cute? My son got it for me for Christmas. Oh, he got it at the Dark Christmas Market too, that local market that we do with the Krampus run.